Welcome to Blossom with Dr. Nancy, and we are focusing on anticipatory grief. Anticipatory grief is when we think of the worst happening to us or our loved ones. But one thing is certain, that we know we will die. But when, we are not aware. And that causes us a lot of anxiety. The season of COVID-19 has brought this home more than any other time before. We have seen family members losing their aged parents or their siblings or their loved ones, maybe one member of the family or more than one member of a family. So as individuals and as communities, it is important that we discuss or have conversations about death and be able to answer questions like, how would I want to die? Where will I go when I die? One thing is certain, and even what I have discovered in therapy, when people talk about death and they are thinking of anticipatory grief or even loss, where people have a lot of regrets of things they never did, or things they did wrong, or people they have offended, or their life has been very painful. Sometimes death is not feasible to them. It is not something they even want to talk about. But people who have made peace with life, made peace with others, made peace with themselves, made peace with their maker, regardless of what else is going on with their life, they're sort of somehow prepared for death. And for the community or family members, it is important that when we have an individual in our family who has been given a diagnosis, that we may not have them for long. That instead of going into denial, because we think when we accept that diagnosis that we are the ones killing this person. And of course it's very, very difficult because this person is still alive and you're going through anticipatory grief, and people shy away from even discussing the thoughts of what will happen when mom, dad, or my child is not there. How will life be when this person is not there? So what you can do in this time is to be there for your loved one. This is the time to lavish them with love. Be present physically. Call them if you're far away. Come and sing with them. Come and do things with them. Come and dine with them or eat with them. And create moments where you can have memories, that you can talk about the past, when you can talk about the achievements, that you can remind them how much you love them. And people can go through forgiveness sessions and talk about maybe moments where they feel they wounded one another. And it will be such a lovely moment when you have an aged parent, an aged daddy and an aged mommy, surrounded by their children and their grandchildren or even great-grandchildren, where they're having moments of saying a goodbye-bye to this person. And they know where they're going, and you hear them talking about, you guys are the ones who are refusing to release me. I am ready to go home. And they'll talk about dreams where they will say that they are seeing angels coming for them, or they are dreaming of going on a journey, and a long journey, and never coming back. And these are moments when we hear these things that we need not get scared, but sit with them and want to hear what these dreams are. Because that's a preparation. That's something that they are trying to communicate to us, that they are ready to go. They are ready to go to their maker. And therefore, we cannot make this difficult for them. How can you tell that you're going through anticipatory grief? And especially in relation to COVID-19 complications. This is where people will get more hypervigilant and quite alert to what is going on around them. So say you're in public and someone sneezes or coughs, all of us will check to see what's going on. And we have an anxious moment thinking that we are likely to catch the virus and we can die. So we will not just think of catching it or getting it, we also can think of the worst. So you find that some people will not even watch news because they don't want to see the numbers, the figures that are being given by maybe the Ministry of Health. In anticipatory grief, people also experience anger. And anger is not going to be limited. It can be towards themselves, towards others, or projected towards the government. And especially in the season where we are experiencing lockdowns, because besides actual death or anticipatory grief, there are other secondary losses that people are experiencing: the loss of jobs, the loss of finances, the loss of status, where people have to adjust to a lot of things, to a life that probably they've never lived before. And even when they think of, with increased lockdown and the time, that they're not going to be making any more money, and therefore they're anticipating the worst happening, either a total closing of their businesses, a total loss of jobs. So this is also causing people a lot of pain. And we've also experienced, even in our therapy rooms, and we've seen it in the media, families being affected, where there is more violence of families because of poor communication, and because of the impact of the issues of the isolation and people being together and the unresolved issues that they are experiencing. All this would cause people to go through anticipatory grief, and as they go through the anger, there's a lot of helplessness as well, a lot of hopelessness, and a majority are also going into sadness and despair. We have also seen a bit of increase of issues of mental illness that have to do with depression and sadness. Suicide cases have been reported to be on the rise, not just here, but globally. So there's a lot that people go through during anticipatory loss. How can we adjust or cope with anticipatory grief? First and most important is to normalize what one is going through. The sadness, the helplessness, even the anger, or even the hypervigilance that we mentioned one could be going through. Because anticipatory grief will also make people go through a sort of mourning. And this is usually difficult because you're going through this and the person that probably you're thinking of has not died. Or even yourself, if you're the one who has been deteriorating with the condition that you have, you're still alive. So there's a conflict in your mind, like, what am I mourning? Why am I mourning? And you feel guilty about that. And it is important that we validate and affirm and accept the emotions that we are going through, because they're a normal response to the issues that are happening. They're a normal response to what we've been told by the doctors, or what is happening and we are observing about our loved one or even ourselves. And once we do that, then we can learn to take care of ourselves. Ensure that we are taking enough water, we are hydrating properly, we are taking good rest. And for the individuals as well, to ensure that they are doing their self-care, they have their quiet moment. If they are able to do any form of simple, mild exercises, that they can do that. But most importantly, that we are ensuring the individuals or the family members are at peace as they go through this. This is a time as well to ensure that we are connecting with others, that we are able to reach out to our friends because of the physical distancing. We can do this via Zoom, we can do this via WhatsApp video, we can be able to call people, we can be able to check with them, we can look out for what their needs are and be able to reach out as well. This is a time when people are going through anticipatory grief, where they feel like God has deserted them, God has forgotten them. It is also important that we understand, because of what we are going through with the negative emotions, we think God has forgotten us, but He hasn't. It is as the state of our negative emotion that makes us feel like He has forgotten us, but He's still there, and He still cares, and He still loves us. As we comfort ourselves and probably comfort others, it is always important for us to understand during anticipatory grief that we're going to be going through a sort of mourning, and mourning is the price we pay for loving others. And because this is very individual and very painful, most of us have experienced where we've heard of news of someone we know, someone have lost their parent, someone we work with, but it really never hit us. But when it hit home, it was very, very, very painful, because the stronger the bond, the stronger and more painful the loss. And sometimes, because we are not seeing that pain, we don't acknowledge it. But during anticipatory grief, this is a reality to many people, and it is important that we accept it, we validate it, and allow ourselves to go through it, because the person we are mourning, we were bonded with them, and we had something going on with them. There's some activities that we can have to try and comfort ourselves, what we may call self-soothing activities, where you just think of something that you enjoy listening to. It could be a person you like listening to, or some music. Think of something you enjoy watching, and while you watch it, you feel calm or you feel relaxed. You can self-soothe yourself by maybe just taking something, sipping something like a cup of tea. And we are careful here to mention that when we talk about taking something, we are not talking about negative coping mechanisms like alcohol or drugs or things that will mess with our brain and our mental well-being. So the self-soothing activities are things that will leave us better. Taking a walk, or even being able to chat with someone. You know, when you talk with them, they comfort you, they make you feel better. That's nature, the smell of nature. Just walking around, just being outside, just watching trees or listening to things that will soothe us. That is very, very important. And prayer, in whatever way that we can be able to engage in prayer and connect with God. And for our family members, getting their spiritual authorities, if it's their priest or their pastor or their imam, to visit with them and pray with them, because that is going to be very meaningful for them. When the anticipatory grief is about a job or even a business, it is always important not to have secrets at the family level. Let us talk about these things. Let daddy, mommy come home and talk about the changes that we are going to make or to have to make, so that everybody can adjust accordingly. And it may be just for a time. And also to start thinking, in the event that I'm going to lose my job, in the event that my business continues to go down and I'm not going to be making what I've been making, how do I readjust my budgets? What else can I do? What else can I start? So that it is less intense for you as you sit and hope that things are going to pick up, and maybe they're not changing because of the impact of what is happening, especially now with COVID-19. So talking about it is important, because you also get to get support from others. Talk to your friends, talk to family members, let your nuclear family know what is going on, so that they can all adjust accordingly. When it is anticipatory grief due to death, and especially where we have people going through terminal illnesses and there is a lot of pain, we always say that death is a form of healing. When this person passes on or dies, they are not in pain anymore. So they have sort of experienced a sort of healing. And this is where we ask family members to love this person enough to let them go. And especially when they are even talking about it openly. So loving them enough not to continue seeing them suffering, but loving them enough to let them go. Share your comments and feedback. Stay safe. See you in my next episode.